Today and tomorrow, we're taking a closer look at not only the biggest story of the year, but one of the most impactful moments in Vermont's history. Of course, Tropical Storm Irene.
The story was edited by Channel 3 News photographer Lance McKenzie and features a hymn performed by Vermont folk singer John Galemore, titled, "How Can I Keep From Singing?"
My life flows on in endless song, above earth's lamentation. I hear the real, though far off hymn that hails and
We have an update now on Irene's impact in our region.
The tumult and the strife, I hear its music ringing.
We have flash flooding across the state. Many communities in southern Vermont are flooded right now. Brattleboro, Wilmington, and Bennington are underwater.
This is Water Street, one of several Rutland locations. Hours of torrential downpours.
In the last 15 minutes, if you look over here, the Winooski River has just jumped its banks.
The river's coming up fast and quickly.
This is kind of the way it was when I saw it at its worst in May, and we're only at the beginning. I understand it's going to crest many hours from now.
Knowing this area and the river's capacity to change quickly, we decided to deploy our personnel down here.
Everything you could imagine is going down the river now.
What though the darkness?
All my belongings are down in the middle of Keene.
And then it moved about 10 feet. We knew that was it.
No storm can shake my inmost calm. Walk to that rock I'm clinging, since love is Lord of heaven and earth.
The impact of Irene, the death toll rising.
This is simply a monumental tragedy.
5 people are confirmed dead. At least 1 person is still missing.
We are experiencing something that I can tell you no one here has ever experienced before. We're completely cut off. In Wilmington, all of their critical infrastructure has been devastated.
Part of the bridge is still standing, but both ends were cut off by raging floodwaters.
Senator Patrick Leahy and Governor Peter Shumlin tore the flood damage in Brattleboro.
It tears at your heart and soul in a state like this to see what's happening.
Ludlow's cut off at both ends, so you got a couple hundred people there that are shopping right now at the 2 convenience stores that are running dry on supplies.
So it's going to get a little bumpy.
Peter Stybris is one of the stranded. He offered to give us an eye-opening tour of the devastation.
So this used to be a road.
Yep.
These boulders are the only evidence a road ever existed here, and the only way around is up Vulture's Mountain. So we battled heavy brush through an old logging road, cleared by this father and son. They marked the trail with torn bed sheets so others could follow, a path that clearly says no ATVs. But for folks surviving without basic necessity, the rules no longer seem to matter.
My medication will be short in a couple days.
The Ausable River rose 21 feet over its banks, shattering the old record of 15 feet.
Above the tumult and the strife, I hear its music ringing. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep...
The stunning images come from the air. Vermont's quiet and tranquil villages ravaged by flash flooding. In Arlington, where Norman Rockwell depicted Americana with his art, destruction. Homes surrounded by water, crops coming into season wiped out by water. Rutland, the same story, but the loss of life. A father and a son killed as they checked on the city's water system. Mountain communities nearby cut off from civilization. No phone, internet, or power. You can also see the farms on edge. The summer's work wiped out, heavy equipment, and cows in trouble. As we cross into Windham County, we find tourist communities underwater. The loss of life there, too. A young woman swept away in the early stages of the storm. Dozens of Vermont's towns facing incredible challenges. As we travel north up the spine of the Green Mountains, unthinkable images. Someone writes RRP, or rest in peace, on a bridge broken in 2. And the final resting spot for Rochester residents partially destroyed. A cemetery not spared from Irene. Residents, neighbors rally to stay afloat. The cleanup is endless, but they hope they can overcome this latest natural disaster. And And in Waterbury, more of the same. A key part of the state's support system flooded. The Waterbury complex offline. Employees told to stay home.
What though the tempest loudly roars, I hear the truth, it liveth. What though the darkness round me close, songs in the night it giveth.
The dairy cows at Pearly Farm in Royalton are still on edge. Several were swept down the White River and others drowned when Irene hit.
They were huddled into the trees trying to stay there, and most of them ended up going out with the river.
They've yet to tally the livestock lost. It's just too hard. They're still without power and the clock is ticking.
Where do we go? You know, do we throw our hands up in the air and just say, to heck with it? But we can't. This is our life.
The family was forced to dump about 2,700 pounds of milk, a devastating revenue loss. For now, they're focusing on the cows that survived, trying their best to prevent hoof rot and udder infections.
Our main concern is just keeping what cows alive we have healthy. We weren't able to milk them for 2 days because we had no power, no generator.
This used to be one of the farm's hay fields. Now it's caked in dirt and sand. So the family decided to make the best of a bad situation. They found a couple lawn chairs that had washed downriver, plopped them right here in the middle of the field, and decided to call it their own personal beach.
We have to have something to laugh at, just to lift our spirits.
Just, jeez, it's crazy. Crazy. I never thought I'd ever go through something like this.
Chris Lord and his family live just past Pearly Farm in this 200-year-old schoolhouse. He, like many in this community, underestimated the destructive power of the White River. His historic home is a complete loss.
It's pretty much ruined. You can't live back here. There ain't no way. Not with the mildew, the mold will set in.
On the other side of town, folks face a different problem.
This is just so the locals can get off the mountain.
Flooding knocked out 2 critical bridges in Royalton, isolating residents. They needed access to fuel and supplies and decided to create their own way out. Interstate 89 now has an improvised ramp. Residents here are calling it Exit 2B, the Hillbilly Highway.
We cut the fence, pulled the post, made it even wider so bigger rigs could get through. My hope was to be able to get a milk truck in here.
For now, the Wood Chip Parkway, believe it or not, is the easiest way to get from Rutland to Killington. This 3/4-mile stretch of Route 4 in Mendon was completely destroyed by floodwaters in the wake of Irene. Erica McLaughlin lives on the Rutland side of the wreckage. She has to get up at 5:15 a.m. in order to get to work on time in Royalton. Like many other commuters, McLaughlin gets dropped off at the trail, then hikes 1 mile through private property, ending at Journey's End Road in Mendon. She then picks up her car on the other end of the trail and drives to work.
We drive over the mountain and through the woods.
Volunteers staff the ends of the trail, directing hikers and keeping a running tally for FEMA of the more than 900 people who take this route to work every day. ATV rides are also available to people who need a little help getting across. So how many trips of these are you taking a day?
You know, it averages probably about 30 trips an hour.
John Hogue is thankful to finally get back to work, but admits the trek is tough.
I'm not the type of person who likes to rely on other people, so it's been very difficult for me because now I have to rely on everybody else to get back and forth to work.
Road crews have asked the town to shut down this bridge for Thursday and Friday so they can bring in some bigger machinery. But cutting off this access will mean another 5-mile detour from the hiking trail into Rutland.
So I've had to make my rides aware of that. Thankfully, a friend has coordinated a bunch of rides, people who will offer to help me out and take us in and pick us up.
My life flows on in endless song above earth's lamentation. I hear the real, though far off hymn that hails a new creation. Above the tumult and the strife, I hear its music ringing. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing.